Hi there, I'm Nilesh Kulkarni and I'm the Master Coach of the Speak to Change Foundation. Starting this Saturday, we have decided that every Saturday is going to be called the Pack a Punch Saturday. This is when we are going to teach you and give you tips on how to pack a punch every time you speak. We want you to speak so that you are heard. And we want that when you speak, people are entertained, informed, persuaded, motivated, depending on what you set out to do. Every communication that you must make must pack a punch. And if you want to do that, keep tuned on to us every Pack a Punch Saturday for tricks and tips and information and guidelines about how to speak more effectively. Because as you will know, whoever speaks more effectively actually gets ahead in life. The first speech that we ever ask anyone from the Speak to Change Foundation to make is the introductory speech. We do that because, after all, you know everything about yourself. And content is not a problem when talking about yourself. But we find very often that it is essentially in content that people get stuck. You ask them to introduce themselves and they will say, my name is Subhash, I'm a lawyer. Or, my name is Tushar, I'm a doctor. Goaded a bit further, they will say, oh, I'm a child specialist. I did my LLB from Delhi University. Stuff like this. It stops there. As if being a doctor or being a lawyer is actually defining all of you and there's nothing else left to define. Because delivering an introduction to anyone, whether you are delivering it as a speech or whether you are meeting some people for the first time, whether you are going to make a presentation in an office for a product you are selling, whether you are taking an interview and you are asked to describe yourself or talk about yourself, delivering it is very, very important. And therefore we thought that the first of the series of tips and tricks on effective public speaking or effective speaking should concentrate on delivering a good introduction. Now, why do we want to introduce ourselves? Because we want the other person to know more and more about us. And surely, there is more to us than our educational qualification and our job profile. Every introduction must always cover all the basic facts about yourself. Of course, it includes when you were born, where you were born, what is your family background like, what is your educational background, what is your special skill set, what kind of job do you do right now, what are your hobbies, what are the causes you are involved with, and what are your beliefs and faiths, and what are your dreams for the future. Now, all this has to be put together in a package. And when asked to do so, most people fumble and hesitate, probably because they have not given deep thought to it themselves. It comes out in bits and spurts. Okay, what are your hobbies? Watching movies. What do you plan to do next? I plan to become an entrepreneur and start my own company. Now, why don't these things come out on their own? Very smoothly. And mind you, when introducing yourself, whether in a speech or otherwise, it is not essential to bring out all these things in chronological order. You are not creating a timeline of your life. You can flick back and forth. Include interesting anecdotes, interesting information about yourself. Talk about some interesting people you have met and who've influenced your life. And then through that, create an entire capsule about who you are. So, next time you are asked to introduce yourself, make sure you include almost all the information about you. This does not mean that everybody has to be given all the information. For instance, if you go out to make a presentation for selling a product before an office crowd, then there's no point in saying that you love your wife very much or you have 3 daughters who are all married or whatever. Maybe you'd like to cut that out. But make sure that you are aware of all the things that have to be covered. In specific situations, you might like to filter out some things. In other situations, you might like to compress some things. But then, every time you are introducing yourself, make sure that all the bases are covered. That's what will give them a complete picture of you. And since it will give them a complete picture of you, anything you say subsequently is going to be heard properly and your communication is going to be effective. So all the best.
Join the Street to Gym family!